Hey there, I'm Sarah, and let me tell you something. Family gatherings can either be the best thing in the world or your personal version of hell. For me? Well, let's just say I'd rather get a root canal than sit through another one of my mother's birthday parties. But this story isn't just about awkward small talk and terrible potato salad. This is about the day my perfect sister Jessica finally pushed me too far, and how I made sure she'd never forget it. You see, I've been living in Jessica's shadow my entire life. While she was homecoming queen at our high school in suburban Phoenix, I was the girl who accidentally set the chemistry lab on fire during senior year. While she graduated summa cum laude from Stanford, I barely scraped by at community college before finally getting my associate's degree at 25. And while she landed a six-figure job at some fancy tech company in Silicon Valley, I've been working double shifts at a diner just to make rent on my studio apartment. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bitter about her success. Okay? Maybe a little bitter, but mostly I just wanted my family to see that I had value too, that I wasn't just the screw-up who couldn't get her life together. The thing is, Jessica never let me forget our differences. Every family dinner, every holiday, every damn phone call with Mom somehow turned into a comparison. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" became Mom's favorite phrase. And Jessica? She ate it up like it was chocolate cake. But this particular birthday party, Mom's 60th, was supposed to be different. I'd been planning for months, working extra shifts to save up money for the perfect gift. I even bought a new dress from Target. Okay, it was on clearance, but still. I was determined to show everyone that Sarah Martinez wasn't just the family disappointment anymore. The party was at Mom's house in Scottsdale, the same ranch-style home where Jess and I grew up. You know the type. Beige walls, family photos everywhere, and that weird smell that every suburban mom's house has. A mix of vanilla candles and disappointment, if you ask me. I walked in carrying my carefully wrapped gift, wearing my best smile and my Target dress, ready to prove myself. The living room was packed with relatives I barely saw, except for occasions like this. Aunt Carmen was already 3 mimosas deep. Uncle Roberto was arguing with Dad about the Diamondbacks' pitching rotation, and my cousin Miguel was showing off pictures of his new truck to anyone who'd listen. But then I saw her, Jessica, standing by the kitchen island like she owned the place, wearing some designer outfit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, and she was holding court with a group of relatives who hung on her every word like she was delivering the gospel. "Oh my God, Sarah!" she squealed when she saw me, rushing over with her arms outstretched. "You actually made it. Actually made it." Like I was some unreliable deadbeat who might not show up to her own mother's birthday party. "Of course I made it, Jess," I said, forcing that smile to stay plastered on my face. Wouldn't miss it for the world. She looked me up and down, and I caught that little smirk she got whenever she was about to say something cutting. "That's such a cute dress. Very budget-friendly. Strike one." The party went on, and every time I tried to join a conversation, Jessica somehow managed to redirect the attention back to herself. When I mentioned getting a promotion to assistant manager at the diner, she launched into a story about her latest project managing a team of 50 people. When I talked about finally paying off my credit card debt, she casually mentioned her new BMW. But the real moment, the one that changed everything, came when it was time for Mom to open presents. We all gathered around the coffee table as Mom unwrapped gift after gift. Jessica's present was, of course, perfect. A luxury spa weekend at some resort in Sedona. The kind of gift that screams, "I have money and excellent taste." When Mom opened my gift, a custom photo album I'd spent weeks putting together, filled with pictures and memories from throughout the years, the room went quiet. Not the good kind of quiet, the awkward kind. "Oh, how thoughtful," Mom said, flipping through the pages quickly before setting it aside. That's when Jessica struck. She was standing behind the couch, wine glass in hand, and she said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Well, I guess we all knew the family mistake would come through with something homemade. The room fell silent. Aunt Carmen stopped mid-sip. Uncle Roberto's mouth actually dropped open. And me? I felt like I'd been slapped across the face in front of 30 people. The family mistake. Those 3 words hit me harder than anything she'd ever said before. Because deep down, I knew that's exactly how they all saw me. The one who couldn't get it right. The disappointment. The mistake. But here's the thing about being pushed too far. It clarifies things. In that moment, standing in my mother's living room with everyone staring at me like I was some kind of charity case, I made a decision. Jessica wanted to play games? Fine. But she had no idea who she was messing with. I smiled sweetly, walked over to her and said, "Thanks for the honesty, sis. Really, you've given me exactly the inspiration I needed." She laughed, thinking she'd won. But what Jessica didn't know was that I'd been working at that diner for 3 years, and in that time, I'd learned a thing or two about patience, timing, and serving people exactly what they deserved. This was just the beginning. Hey everyone, if you're hooked on Sarah's story and want to see how she gets her revenge on Jessica, make sure to hit that like button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to follow for the next chapter. Trust me, you won't want to miss what Sarah has planned. Things are about to get very interesting. The drive home from Mom's party was a blur of rage and humiliation. I kept replaying that moment over and over. Jessica's smug face, the way everyone just sat there in silence, like they agreed with her. The family mistake. Those words burned in my chest like acid. But by the time I pulled into my apartment complex in Tempe, something had shifted. The hurt was still there, don't get me wrong, but it was mixed with something else now. Determination. And maybe a little bit of that crazy energy you get when someone pushes you past your breaking point. I'd been Jessica's punching bag for 28 years. Well, guess what, sis? Game over. The next morning, I called in sick to work, something I never do because rent doesn't pay itself, and started doing what I should have done years ago. Research. See, here's the thing about perfect people like Jessica. They work really hard to maintain that image, and when you work that hard to look flawless, you usually have something to hide. I just needed to figure out what. I started with social media. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, the whole digital footprint. Jessica's posts were exactly what you'd expect. Professional headshots, fancy restaurant check-ins, humble brags about work achievements. But I wasn't looking at what she was posting. I was looking at who was commenting, who was liking her stuff, who was in the background of her photos. That's when I noticed something interesting. There was this guy, Brandon, who'd been liking and commenting on literally everything she posted for the past 6 months. Heart eye emojis, fire emojis, comments like gorgeous as always, and lucky to know you. Here's the kicker. Jessica's been dating her boyfriend Marcus for 3 years. They've been talking about getting engaged. Mom won't shut up about it. So who the hell was Brandon? I dove deeper, and let me tell you, the internet is a beautiful thing when you know how to use it. Brandon Thompson, 26, works at the same tech company as Jessica. Recently divorced. Lives in a swanky apartment in downtown San Francisco. But the real goldmine was his Instagram stories. See, Jessica's been traveling a lot for work lately. At least that's what she tells the family. Business trips to Seattle, Portland, Denver. But guess whose stories showed him in those exact same cities on those exact same dates? Bingo. I screenshotted everything. Hotel check-ins, restaurant tags, even a photo of 2 wine glasses on a table that looked suspiciously romantic for a business dinner. But I needed more than circumstantial evidence. I needed proof that would stick. That's when I remembered my cousin Diego, who works in IT and owes me a favor from when I covered his shift at the restaurant where we both used to work. Diego's one of those computer wizard types who can find digital breadcrumbs you didn't even know you were leaving. "'Cause you sure you want me to do this?" Diego asked when I explained what I needed. "This feels like some serious stalker behavior. She called me the family mistake in front of everyone," I told him. "I'm not stalking. I'm investigating." Damn, that's cold even for Jessica. All right, give me a couple days. While Diego worked his magic, I started phase 2 of my plan, getting closer to Marcus. Marcus is actually a decent guy, which made this part harder. He's this sweet, nerdy software engineer who genuinely loves Jessica and treats her like a queen. The kind of guy who remembers anniversaries and brings flowers for no reason. Under different circumstances, I might have felt bad about what I was planning. But Jessica had made her choice when she decided to humiliate me publicly. And Marcus deserved to know what kind of person he was planning to marry. I reached out to him on Facebook. Something casual. "Hey Marcus, hope you're doing well. Was thinking about planning a surprise for Jess's birthday next month and wanted to coordinate with you so we don't overlap. Mind if we grab coffee sometime this week?" He responded within an hour, all excited about the idea. We met at this little cafe in Scottsdale, and I have to say, the guilt was eating me alive. Here was this guy, practically glowing as he talked about engagement ring shopping and their future together, while I sat there knowing his girlfriend was playing house with some other dude in San Francisco. "She's been working so hard lately," Marcus said, stirring his latte. "All those business trips are exhausting, but she's really climbing the ladder at work. I'm so proud of her." Business trips. Right. She's definitely ambitious, I managed to say. Always has been. That's what I love about her. She's so focused, so driven. Sometimes I feel like I'm holding her back, Like maybe she'd be better off with someone more successful. And there it was. The insecurity that Jessica was probably exploiting. Classic manipulation. Make your partner feel like they're not good enough while you go off and do whatever you want. Marcus, don't sell yourself short, I said. And I meant it. You're a good guy. Jessica's lucky to have someone who supports her like you do. That night, Diego called with the intel I'd been waiting for. All right, Prima. I found your smoking gun, he said, his voice crackling through my cheap phone. Your sister's been sloppy as hell with her digital footprint. Credit card receipts, shared Uber rides, hotel bookings under both their names. This Brandon guy isn't just a work friend. They've been having a full-blown affair for 8 months. 8 months. While Marcus was ring shopping and talking about their future, Jessica had been living a double life. There's more, Diego continued. I found some emails between them. Want me to forward you the screenshots? Send them all. What I saw in those emails made my stomach turn. It wasn't just the affair. It was the way Jessica talked about Marcus, calling him clingy and boring, complaining about how he was pressuring her to settle down when she was finally having fun. The worst part? In one email, she called him practice husband material, like he was some kind of stepping stone until she found someone better. I sat in my tiny apartment, staring at my laptop screen, holding enough evidence to blow up Jessica's perfect life. For a moment, I hesitated. Did I really want to be responsible for destroying two people's relationship? Then I remembered standing in Mom's living room, feeling 30 pairs of eyes on me, as Jessica called me the family mistake. Yeah, I really did. But I wasn't going to be cruel about it. I wasn't going to publicly humiliate her the way she'd humiliated me. This was going to be surgical, precise, and absolutely devastating. Jessica had taught me that family loyalty was conditional, that love came with terms and conditions. Fine. It was time she learned what happened when you broke the contract. The plan was simple, and it was perfect. And in exactly 2 weeks, at Jessica's own birthday party, I was going to give her a gift she'd never forget. 2 weeks. That's how long I had to execute the perfect revenge. And let me tell you, those were the longest 2 weeks of my life. Every day felt like I was walking around with a bomb in my backpack, just waiting for the right moment to set it off. Jessica's birthday party was going to be held at this fancy country club in Paradise Valley, because of course it was. She'd been planning it for months, talking about how it was going to be the event of the season. Black tie, open bar, 150 guests, the works. Mom had been calling me daily, making sure I was going to show up and behave myself. Translation: don't embarrass the family again. Little did she know I was planning to be the most well-behaved person at that party, right up until the moment I wasn't. I spent those 2 weeks perfecting my plan, and honestly, psyching myself up for what I was about to do. Because here's the thing, I'm not naturally vindictive. I'm the girl who apologizes when other people bump into me. But Jessica had awakened something in me, some dormant, savage gene that had been sleeping for 28 years. The first step was getting Diego to help me put together a little slideshow. Nothing fancy, just a collection of photos and screenshots that told a very specific story. Hotel receipts, restaurant check-ins, those cozy Instagram stories, and yes, some of those lovely emails where Jessica talked about Marcus like he was a stray dog she was thinking about taking to the pound. You know this is nuclear, right? Diego said as we worked on the presentation in his cluttered apartment. Like, this isn't just going to hurt Jessica. Marcus is going to be destroyed. Marcus deserves the truth, I said, trying to convince myself as much as him. Would you want to marry someone who was cheating on you? No, but then we're doing him a favor. Deep down, I knew Diego was right. This was going to be messy. But Jessica had drawn first blood at Mom's party, and I was tired of being the family doormat. Step 2 was making sure I had the perfect delivery system. I couldn't just stand up in the middle of dinner and start showing screenshots on my phone. This needed to be elegant, professional, devastating. That's when I remembered that Jessica's party was being catered by the same company that handles corporate events. They always have those big screens for presentations, speeches, that kind of thing. All I needed was someone on the inside. Enter Sophia, my friend from high school who now works as an event coordinator. We'd kept in touch over the years, mostly through Facebook likes and birthday messages, but she owed me one from when I helped her move last year. So let me get this straight, Sophia said when I called her. You want me to help you sabotage your sister's birthday party? I want you to help me reveal the truth at my sister's birthday party, I corrected. There's a difference. Sarah, this is career suicide for me if it goes wrong. It won't go wrong. I just need 5 minutes during the toast portion of the evening. You set up the presentation, I click play. Everyone learns who Jessica really is. Simple. There was a long pause. Then, what did she do to you? I told her about Mom's party, about being called the family mistake in front of everyone. Sophia had known Jessica in high school. She remembered exactly what kind of person my sister was. Okay, she finally said, but you owe me big time. I'll name my firstborn after you. You better. Step 3 was the hardest part, acting normal. For 2 weeks, I had to pretend like nothing had changed. I went to work. I made small talk with Mom on the phone. I even helped her pick out a dress for Jessica's party, all while sitting on information that was going to detonate my sister's life like a nuclear bomb. The worst part was running into Marcus a few days before the party. He was at the grocery store, looking all excited as he picked out ingredients for some elaborate birthday breakfast he was planning to surprise Jessica with. Sarah, perfect timing, he said, his face lighting up when he saw me. Can you keep a secret? Oh, the irony. Sure. What's up? He pulled out this small velvet box, and my heart just sank. I'm going to propose at the party, during the toast. I've been planning it for months. I stared at that ring box, knowing that in 48 hours, Marcus's entire world was going to implode. And for a moment, just a moment, I considered calling the whole thing off. But then I thought about Jessica's smug face at Mom's party, the way she'd said family mistake like it was my official title, the way everyone had just sat there and let it happen. That's really great, Marcus, I managed to say. She's going to be so surprised. Surprised was definitely one word for it. The night before the party, I barely slept. I kept running through the plan over and over, making sure I hadn't missed anything. The presentation was loaded onto a USB drive and ready to go. Sophia had confirmed that everything was set up. Diego had triple-checked that all the evidence was airtight. But I couldn't shake this feeling that I was about to cross a line I could never uncross. That after tomorrow night, there would be no going back to the way things were. Then again, maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Maybe it was time for the family mistake to stop being everyone's punching bag. I got up around 3 a.m. and sat at my kitchen table, staring at that USB drive. Such a small thing to hold so much power. One click, and Jessica's perfect life would crumble. One click, and Marcus would learn that the woman he wanted to marry had been betraying him for 8 months. One click, and my family would finally see Jessica for who she really was. As the sun came up, I made myself a cup of coffee and started getting ready for the most important performance of my life, because that's what this was going to be, a performance. I had to walk into that country club, smile at Jessica, hug Marcus, make small talk with relatives, all while carrying the nuclear codes to my sister's destruction. The dress I'd bought for the occasion was perfect, elegant, but not attention-grabbing, expensive-looking, but not so fancy that anyone would wonder how I afforded it. I did my makeup carefully, making sure I looked polished and confident. If I was going to bring down the golden child, I was going to look damn good doing it. As I drove to Paradise Valley, my hands were shaking on the steering wheel. This was really happening. After 28 years of living in Jessica's shadow, of being the disappointment, the screw-up, the mistake, I was finally going to level the playing field. The country club was exactly as pretentious as I'd expected. Valet parking, crystal chandeliers, waiters in bow ties carrying champagne flutes. Jessica's perfect venue for her perfect party celebrating her perfect life. Too bad perfection was about to get a reality check. I walked through those doors with my head held high, the USB drive safely tucked in my purse, and a smile plastered on my face. Let the show begin. Walking into that country club felt like entering enemy territory. The Paradise Valley Country Club was exactly the kind of place Jessica would choose. All marble columns, gold fixtures, and the kind of subtle wealth that screams, "You can't afford to be here," without actually saying it out loud. I handed my keys to the valet, smoothed down my dress, and took a deep breath. Showtime. The ballroom was already packed with Jessica's carefully curated guest list. I recognized most of the faces, family members, college friends, co-workers, and what looked like half of Phoenix's young professional scene. Everyone was dressed to the nines, sipping champagne and laughing at jokes that probably weren't that funny. "Sarah, oh my God, you look amazing." I turned to find Jessica gliding toward me in a dress that probably cost more than my car. She looked absolutely stunning, of course. Golden hair in perfect Hollywood waves, makeup that belonged in a magazine, and a smile that could power the entire state of Arizona. "Happy birthday, Jess," I said, accepting her air kisses and hating how natural her performance seemed. "This place is incredible." "Isn't it?" Marcus found it. He's been such a doll about planning all of this. She gestured around the room like she was presenting a prize on a game show. "Speaking of which, have you seen him? He's been acting so weird all day. I think he's up to something. If only you knew." "I'm sure he's just excited about your birthday," I said, proud of how steady my voice sounded. Jessica grabbed my arm, her perfectly manicured nails digging in just a little too tight. "Listen, about what happened at Mom's party. I hope you know I was just joking around. You're not really the family mistake. I mean, we all have our struggles, right? And there it was. The non-apology apology. The kind of backhanded comment that's designed to sound like she's being nice while actually making you feel worse. Don't worry about it," I said, giving her my sweetest smile. "Tonight's your night. I wouldn't dream of doing anything to ruin it." She laughed, missing the irony completely. "That's my little sister, always so understanding." As she floated away to greet other guests, I spotted Sophia across the room, adjusting something on the massive projection screen that dominated one wall. She caught my eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. Everything was ready. I made my way through the crowd, playing the role of dutiful little sister to perfection. I complimented Aunt Carmen on her dress, listened to Uncle Roberto complain about his golf game, and managed to avoid any conversations about my own life. Tonight wasn't about me being the disappointment. Tonight was about Jessica's world crashing down. "Sarah! There you are!" Marcus appeared at my elbow, looking nervous as hell, but trying to hide it. He was wearing his best suit and kept patting his jacket pocket where I knew that ring box was hidden. "Hey, Marcus," I said, genuinely feeling sorry for him. "You look really nice. Thanks. I'm kind of freaking out, to be honest." He laughed shakily. "I've never proposed before. What if she says no? What if she says yes? That would almost be worse, knowing what I knew." "She won't say no," I told him, which was probably true. Jessica was too image-conscious to reject a public proposal, even if she was planning to dump him later. "I hope you're right. I've been planning this toast for weeks. I want it to be perfect." My stomach twisted. Marcus was planning to propose during the toast portion of the evening, the same time slot I'd reserved for my little presentation. "About the toast," I said carefully. "I was actually hoping to say a few words too. You know, about Jessica." "Of course. That would be great. Family should definitely speak first." Perfect. I'd go first, drop my bombshell, and Marcus would be saved from the humiliation of proposing to a cheater in front of 150 people. It was almost merciful when you thought about it. Dinner was torture. I sat at the family table, making small talk and pushing food around my plate, while Jessica held court at the head table like some kind of birthday queen. She kept glancing over at Marcus, who looked like he might throw up from nerves. Mom was in her element, basking in the reflected glory of her perfect daughter's perfect party. She spent most of dinner telling anyone who'd listen about Jessica's latest promotion, and how proud she was. "And Sarah's doing well too," she added, as an afterthought when Aunt Carmen asked about me. "She's finding her way. Finding her way. Like I was some lost tourist instead of a grown woman with a job and an apartment, and a plan to expose her golden child's double life." As the servers cleared the dinner plates, I excused myself and headed to the restroom. I needed a minute to center myself before the main event. In the mirror, I looked calm and composed, but my hands were shaking as I reapplied my lipstick. This was it. In about 10 minutes, I was going to walk back into that ballroom and detonate a bomb that would destroy not just Jessica's relationship, but probably her reputation, her standing in the family, maybe even her job if the affair violated any company policies. For a split second, I hesitated. Was I really going to do this? Was I really going to nuke my sister's life over a stupid comment at a birthday party? Then I remembered the way everyone had looked at me that night. The silence, the pity, the way Jessica had smiled afterward, like she'd accomplished something. The family mistake. I straightened my shoulders, checked my reflection one more time, and walked back into the ballroom. The lights had been dimmed for the toast portion of the evening. Marcus was standing near the projection screen, looking pale but determined. Jessica was seated at the head table, glowing under the soft lighting, completely oblivious to what was about to happen. The DJ handed me the microphone first. "Ladies and gentlemen, We're going to start our toasts with a few words from the birthday girl's sister, Sarah. I walked to the center of the room, feeling every eye in the place on me. The USB drive felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my purse. Thank you, I said into the microphone, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight to celebrate my sister Jessica's birthday. Polite applause. Jessica beamed at me from her table. Jessica and I have always had a complicated relationship, I continued. She's the successful one, the beautiful one, the one who always seems to have everything figured out. And me? Well, I'm what you might call the family mistake. A few uncomfortable chuckles. Mom looked mortified. Jessica's smile faltered slightly. But you know what I've learned about perfect people like my sister? They work really hard to maintain that image. Sometimes so hard that they forget who they really are underneath all that perfection. I reached into my purse and pulled out the USB drive. So for Jessica's birthday, I thought I'd give her something special. A little reminder of who she really is when she thinks nobody's watching. Jessica's face went white. She knew. Somehow, she knew exactly what was about to happen. I walked over to the laptop connected to the projection screen, plugged in the USB drive, and looked back at my sister. Happy birthday, Jess. This one's from the heart. I clicked play. The first image that appeared on the massive screen was innocent enough, just a screenshot of Jessica's Instagram page. The crowd murmured appreciatively, probably thinking this was going to be some sweet slideshow of memories. My sister Jessica is very active on social media, I said into the microphone, my voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. She loves sharing her life with everyone, but sometimes the most interesting stories are hidden between the lines. The next slide showed Brandon's Instagram profile picture alongside Jessica's, with timestamps showing they'd both checked into the same Seattle hotel on the same night 3 months ago. That's when the murmuring got quieter. Confused, I glanced at Marcus, who was standing by the wall looking puzzled. At the head table, Jessica had gone from pale to green, her perfectly manicured hands gripping her champagne flute so tight I thought it might shatter. You see, while Jessica's been telling us all about her important business trips, I continued, advancing to the next slide, she's apparently been mixing business with pleasure. The screen now showed a side-by-side comparison. Jessica's Facebook post about a boring work conference in Portland, next to Brandon's Instagram story from the same weekend showing 2 wine glasses and the caption, "Perfect dinner with my favorite person." The room had gone dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop on that marble floor. "Mom, what is this?" Jessica's voice cut through the silence, shrill with panic. I ignored her and clicked to the next slide. The email screenshots Diego had found. The really damning ones. "Marcus is getting so clingy about the engagement thing," I read aloud from the projection screen, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system. "I keep telling him I'm not ready, but he won't drop it. Good thing I have you to keep me entertained while I figure out how to handle this situation." The collective gasp from the audience was audible. I saw Aunt Carmen's hand fly to her mouth. Uncle Roberto was staring at the screen like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. But the worst part was Marcus. Sweet, loyal Marcus, who'd been planning to propose to this woman. His face had gone through about 5 different emotions in the span of 10 seconds. Confusion, recognition, hurt, and finally, a devastation so complete it made my heart ache. "Sarah, stop this right now." Mom's voice boomed across the ballroom, but I was just getting started. Click. Next slide. "He keeps talking about kids and a house in the suburbs." I continued reading from another email. "Can you imagine me stuck in some McMansion changing diapers? I'd rather die. Thank God for these work trips. At least I get to feel alive again." Jessica had started crying now, her perfect makeup streaming down her cheeks in black rivulets. But I wasn't done. Not even close. "And here's my personal favorite," I said, advancing to the final email screenshot. "Marcus is practice husband material at best. Safe, boring, reliable. But you can't build a real life with someone who has zero ambition. I'm just buying time until something better comes along." The silence that followed was deafening. 150 people sitting in stunned shock, trying to process what they just witnessed. The golden child, the perfect daughter, the woman they'd all admired and envied, revealed as a cheating, manipulative fraud. Marcus made a sound that was somewhere between a sob and a laugh. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out that little velvet ring box, and just stared at it like he couldn't remember what it was for. "Marcus, I can explain," Jessica started, finally finding her voice. "Explain what?" he said, his voice cracking. Explain how you've been lying to me for 8 months. Explain how you called me practice husband material. Explain how you've been planning to dump me this whole time." He threw the ring box on the floor, where it skittered across the marble and came to rest at Jessica's feet. Then he turned and walked out of the ballroom, leaving a wake of shocked silence behind him. "You bitch!" Jessica screamed at me, her composure finally cracking completely. "How could you do this to me? I'm your sister." I set down the microphone and walked calmly over to where she was sitting. The entire ballroom was watching us like we were performers in some twisted reality show. "You want to know how I could do this?" I said quietly, my voice carrying in the absolute silence. "You called me the family mistake in front of everyone who matters to us. You've spent our entire lives making me feel like I was worthless, like I was lucky to even be related to someone as perfect as you." I gestured to the screen, which was still showing her cruel words about Marcus. "Turns out, you're the mistake, Jess. You're the one who's been lying and cheating and manipulating everyone around you. I just made sure people could see who you really are underneath all that perfect packaging." Jessica was sobbing now, ugly tears that had nothing to do with sadness and everything to do with fury and humiliation. "You've ruined everything," she wailed. "My relationship, my reputation, my party, everything." "No," I said, surprised by how calm I felt. "You ruined everything. I just took out the trash." I turned to address the room full of stunned guests. "Sorry to ruin the party, everyone, but I think you all deserve to know the truth about who you were celebrating tonight." With that, I walked out of the ballroom, my head held high, leaving behind the wreckage of Jessica's perfect life and the shocked whispers of 150 people who just watched the golden child fall from grace. As I handed my valet ticket to the parking attendant, I could hear shouting coming from inside the country club. Mom's voice, Jessica's sobs, and what sounded like several family members all talking at once. For the first time in 28 years, I wasn't the one causing the family drama. And damn, it felt good. I didn't sleep that night, not even a little bit. I sat in my apartment, staring at my phone as it buzzed with calls and texts that I refused to answer. The notifications just kept coming. Mom, Dad, Jessica, various relatives, even some numbers I didn't recognize. The Martinez family phone tree was working overtime. Around 3 a.m., the texts started getting creative. Mom, Sarah Elizabeth Martinez, you call me right now. Dad, what the hell were you thinking? Call your mother. Aunt Carmen, Mija, that was brutal. Remind me never to get on your bad side. And my personal favorite, from my cousin Miguel. Holy shit, Prima. That was savage as hell. Jessica had it coming, but damn. The only call I answered was from Diego. Dude, the internet is going crazy, he said without preamble. Someone filmed your little presentation and posted it on TikTok. It's already got like 50,000 views. Oh God, I groaned, burying my face in my hands. I didn't think about people recording it. Are you kidding? This is the kind of drama people live for. Family mistake revenge is actually trending. You're like a folk hero. Great. I'd gone from family disappointment to viral sensation in the span of 12 hours. The next morning, I finally worked up the courage to check my missed messages. 43 calls from Mom, 26 from Jessica, 15 from Dad, and a bunch from relatives I barely talked to except at weddings and funerals. But there was one message that surprised me. It was from Marcus, sent at 4:17 a.m. Sarah, I know you probably feel terrible about what happened, but I want you to know. Thank you. I would have married her. I would have spent my whole life wondering why I wasn't good enough, never knowing she was playing me the entire time. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I owe you everything. I read that message 3 times, and for the first time since walking out of that country club, I felt like maybe I'd done the right thing. My phone rang. Mom again. This time, I answered. Sarah Elizabeth Martinez. Mom's voice was ice cold. You get over here right now. We need to talk. Mom, Now, Sarah, your sister is here, and we're going to sort this out like a family. The line went dead. Driving to Mom's house felt like driving to my own execution. I kept replaying the night before, wondering if there had been another way to handle things. But every time I thought about calling Jessica the family mistake, every time I remembered the humiliation and the laughter, my resolve hardened again. I found them in the living room, Mom pacing like a caged tiger, Dad sitting in his recliner looking about 10 years older than he had yesterday, and Jessica curled up on the couch looking like she'd been hit by a truck. Her perfect hair was in a messy bun, her makeup was gone, and she was wearing sweatpants. I'd never seen her look so human. Sit down, Mom commanded. pointing to the chair across from Jessica. "Look, before anyone says anything," I started. "No," Mom cut me off. "You don't get to talk first. Do you have any idea what you've done? Your sister's life is ruined. Ruined, Sarah. Her boyfriend left her, her friends are calling her a cheater, and someone posted that whole thing online. It's everywhere." I glanced at Jessica, who was staring at her hands and sniffling quietly. "People at work have seen it," Mom continued. "Her boss called this morning asking if she needed time off to handle her personal situation. She might lose her job over this." That hit me harder than I'd expected. I'd wanted to humiliate Jessica, not destroy her career. "Mom, she was cheating on him," I said weakly. "Marcus deserved to know." "That wasn't your call to make," Mom exploded. "Families protect each other, Sarah. They don't air their dirty laundry in public for the whole world to see. Families also don't call each other mistakes in front of everyone." I shot back, my anger flaring again. "Where was this family loyalty when Jessica was humiliating me at your birthday party?" Jessica finally looked up, her eyes red and swollen. "I didn't mean it," she whispered. "I was drunk and stupid and I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did," I said quietly. "You've been thinking it our whole lives. You've just never said it out loud before." The room went silent. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Mom stopped pacing, and Jessica just started crying again. "You want to know the truth?" Jessica said through her tears. "Fine. Yes, I've always thought I was better than you. Yes, I thought you were the screw-up and I was the success story. But do you know why?" I waited. "Because that's what everyone expected," she continued, her voice getting stronger. "From the time we were kids, I was the smart one, the pretty one, the one who was going to make something of herself. And you were the artistic one, the free spirit, the one who'd figure it out eventually. Do you know how much pressure that is? To be perfect all the time? To never be allowed to make mistakes?" She wiped her nose with a tissue. "I started cheating on Marcus because for the first time in my life, I was doing something that wasn't planned or perfect or approved by everyone else. It was stupid and selfish and wrong, but it was mine. Do you understand that?" "I did, actually. More than I wanted to admit. That doesn't excuse what you did," I said. "Marcus loved you. He was going to propose." "I know," Jessica shouted. "Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I hate myself for it? But that doesn't give you the right to destroy my life in front of everyone I know." "You destroyed your own life," I said. "I just showed people what you'd already done." "Enough!" Dad's voice boomed across the room, surprising all of us. He rarely raised his voice. "Both of you. Enough." He stood up slowly, looking older and more tired than I'd ever seen him. 30 years, he said quietly. 30 years I've watched you two compete with each other instead of supporting each other. 30 years of comparing, fighting, trying to prove who's better. And for what? Look at us now. Look at this family." He gestured around the room at the wreckage of our relationships. "Jessica, what you did to Marcus was wrong. What you said to your sister was cruel. But Sarah, what you did last night, that wasn't justice. That was revenge. And revenge never fixes anything. It just creates more hurt." The silence that followed was heavy with 30 years of resentment and competition, and family dysfunction. "I want both of you to leave," Dad said finally. "Go home. Think about whether this family is worth saving. Because right now I'm not sure it is." Jessica and I looked at each other across the room, and for the first time in years, I saw something other than competition in her eyes. I saw hurt, real, human hurt, that matched my own. But it was too late for that now. The damage was done. We left separately, Jessica in her BMW and me in my beat-up Honda, both of us carrying the weight of a family that might be broken beyond repair. As I drove home, I thought about Marcus's text message and felt a flicker of satisfaction. At least I'd helped one person dodge a bullet. But looking at the bigger picture, the viral video, the family chaos, Jessica's destroyed reputation, I started to wonder if maybe Dad was right. Maybe revenge really didn't fix anything. Maybe I'd just made everything worse. 3 weeks later, I was living in a weird sort of limbo. The viral video had died down, thank God, but the family situation was still a disaster. Mom and Dad weren't speaking to me. Jessica had apparently moved back in with them temporarily, and family group chat had gone completely silent for the first time in my adult life. Work was my only escape, and even that was complicated. My coworkers had seen the video, of course. Everyone in Phoenix seemed to have seen it, and I'd become this weird celebrity at the diner. Some people thought I was a hero, Others thought I was a psycho, and most just wanted to hear the story firsthand. "Girl, you are stone cold," my coworker Marta said during our shift one afternoon. "I mean, I get why you did it, but damn. I'm starting to think maybe I went too far," I admitted, refilling the coffee machine for the 10th time that day. "You think?" That's when he walked in. Marcus, looking like he'd lost about 15 pounds and hadn't slept in a month. "Sarah," he said, sliding into a booth in my section. "Can we talk?" I poured him a coffee and sat across from him during my break. He looked rough, stubble, wrinkled clothes, dark circles under his eyes. "How are you holding up?" I asked, though the answer was pretty obvious. "I've been better," he said with a weak laugh. "I wanted to thank you again, and to tell you what's been happening." "Marcus, you don't owe me." "Jessica's been calling me," he interrupted. "Every day, crying, apologizing, begging me to give her another chance." My stomach dropped. And I keep thinking about what your dad said." "My dad?" Marcus nodded. "He called me a few days ago. Asked if we could meet for coffee. Nice guy, by the way. Very different from what I expected after everything." I was stunned. "Dad had reached out to Marcus? He told me about your family," Marcus continued. "About how you and Jessica have been competing your whole lives. About the pressure she's been under to be perfect. He said he thought she was having some kind of breakdown, and the affair was her way of rebelling against everyone's expectations. That doesn't excuse what she did to you." "No, it doesn't. But it explains it. And your dad made me think about something. If I'd been paying attention, if I'd really been listening, I would have seen the signs. Jessica was miserable. She was trying to tell me she wasn't ready for marriage, but I kept pushing because I thought that's what you're supposed to do after 3 years. I stared at him. "Are you saying you want to get back together with her?" "I'm saying I understand why she did it. That doesn't mean I can forgive it, or that I trust her, or that we can go back to how things were. But I don't hate her anymore, and I don't think you should either." Before I could respond, the bell over the diner door chimed, and in walked the last person I expected to see. Jessica. She looked almost as rough as Marcus. No makeup, hair in a ponytail, wearing jeans and a t-shirt instead of her usual designer everything. She spotted us in the booth and hesitated, like she was thinking about running. "Jessica," Marcus said quietly. She walked over slowly, her eyes darting between us. "Hi," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know you'd be here. I wanted to talk to Sarah." "Actually," Marcus said, standing up, "I think you two need to have this conversation without me." He looked at Jessica for a long moment. "But Jess, what Sarah did was wrong, but what you did was worse. If you want any chance of fixing this, with your family, with me, with anyone, you need to own that." He left money for his coffee and walked out, leaving Jessica and me staring at each other across the booth. "Can I sit?" she asked. I nodded, and she slid into Marcus's vacated seat. We sat in silence for a while, the awkwardness so thick you could cut it with a knife. "I got fired," Jessica said finally. "Oh God, Jess. I'm sorry. The company has a morality clause in their employment contracts. Having an affair with a coworker violates it, especially when it becomes public knowledge." She laughed bitterly. "Turns out being viral for all the wrong reasons isn't great for your career." The guilt hit me like a punch to the gut. I'd wanted to humiliate her, not destroy her livelihood. "There's something else," she continued. "I've been seeing a therapist. Mom and Dad insisted on it after everything." "That's good. That's really good." Dr. Martinez, no relation unfortunately, has been helping me understand some things. About perfectionism, about anxiety, about why I felt like I needed to have this secret life. Jessica looked up at me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Vulnerability. "I've been having panic attacks since I was 16, Sarah. Did you know that?" I didn't. Every test, every date, every job interview, every family gathering where I had to be the golden child, I felt like I was suffocating. The affair wasn't about not loving Marcus or wanting to hurt him. It was about feeling like I could breathe for the first time in years. "Why didn't you just break up with him?" "Because then I would have been a failure. The perfect daughter who couldn't even keep a relationship together. And I was too much of a coward to disappoint everyone." I thought about all those years of resenting her perfect life, never realizing how much pressure she was under to maintain it. Dr. Martinez says I need to take responsibility for my choices and apologize to the people I hurt, Jessica continued. "So that's what I'm doing." "I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry for calling you the family mistake. I'm sorry for making you feel less than." I'm sorry for treating you like you weren't good enough just because your life looked different from mine. I felt tears stinging my eyes. I'm sorry too, for humiliating you like that, for not trying to talk to you first, for letting it get that far. We're quite a pair, aren't we? Jessica said with a sad smile. The perfect daughter and the family screw-up, both of us completely messed up in our own ways. Pretty much. We sat there for a while longer, two sisters who'd spent 30 years misunderstanding each other, finally seeing the truth. What happens now? I asked. I don't know. I have to find a new job, probably in a different field since my reputation in tech is shot. I need to figure out how to live without everyone's expectations defining me. And I need to decide if I want to try to fix things with Marcus, or let him go. What do you want? Jessica was quiet for a long moment. I want to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be perfect. I want to stop being afraid of disappointing people. And I want my sister back. She reached across the table and took my hand. I know it's going to take time. I know I have to earn your trust back, but I want to try. If you'll let me. I squeezed her hand. I'd like that. It wasn't going to be easy. 30 years of dysfunction doesn't disappear overnight. But for the first time since we were kids, Jessica and I were talking to each other instead of competing. Maybe that was worth something. Maybe it was worth everything. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new apartment, a bigger place in Tempe that I could finally afford thanks to my promotion to manager at the diner, when Jessica knocked on my door. You ready for this? She asked, holding up a bottle of wine and looking nervous as hell. Tonight was the night. After months of therapy, family counseling sessions that felt like diplomatic negotiations, and baby steps toward rebuilding our relationship, we were finally going to have Marcus over for dinner, together, like adults who could actually be in the same room without World War III breaking out. As ready as I'll ever be, I said, letting her in. Jessica had changed a lot in the past 6 months. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by jeans and sweaters that actually looked comfortable. She'd cut her hair shorter, stopped wearing so much makeup, and somehow looked more beautiful than she ever had when she was trying to be perfect. How's the new job? I asked as we started cooking. Actually cooking together, which would have been unthinkable a year ago. Good. Weird, but good. Jessica had taken a position at a nonprofit that helped women transition back into the workforce after major life changes. The pay was a fraction of what she'd made in tech, but she seemed happier than I'd ever seen her. I'm actually using my skills to help people instead of just making rich people richer. Dr. Martinez says it's part of finding meaning beyond external validation. Look at you, quoting your therapist like a pro. Shut up, she laughed, throwing a dish towel at me. You should try therapy sometime. It's actually pretty great. The doorbell rang, and we both froze. He's here, Jessica said, her voice suddenly small. You okay? I will be. We've been doing really well in our sessions. It's just, this is the first time we've all been together since I blew up your life at your birthday party. Since everything changed, she corrected gently. I opened the door to find Marcus standing there with flowers, not romantic roses, but a friendly mixed bouquet that struck exactly the right tone. Hey, Sarah, he said, giving me a hug. Thanks for hosting. Hey, Marcus, come on in. He and Jessica looked at each other for a moment, and I saw a whole conversation pass between them. They'd been working with a couples therapist, trying to figure out if their relationship was salvageable. Not to get back together, that ship had sailed, but to see if they could be friends, to see if they could forgive each other and move forward. Jess, he said softly. Hi, she replied, and there was so much hope and sadness and regret packed into that one word. They hugged, carefully, briefly, and I felt like I was witnessing something important. Not a reconciliation, but an absolution. Okay, I said, clapping my hands together. Who wants wine? Dinner was surprisingly easy. We talked about work, about the ridiculous Phoenix heat, about the new Marvel movie we'd all seen. Normal things, like we were normal people instead of the stars of the most dramatic family implosion in recent memory. I have news, Marcus said over dessert. I'm moving to Seattle. Jessica's face fell slightly. For work, partly, but also for a fresh start. There's too much history here, you know? I need to go somewhere where I'm not that guy whose girlfriend cheated on him at her birthday party. I winced. Marcus, I'm really sorry about— Don't, he interrupted. We've talked about this. You saved me from making a huge mistake. Yeah, the way it happened was brutal, but the outcome was right. He looked at Jessica. We weren't good for each other. I was trying to turn you into someone you weren't, and you were too scared to tell me what you actually wanted. We would have made each other miserable. I know, Jessica said quietly. I'm still sorry. For all of it. I know you are. And I forgive you. Both of you. After Marcus left, Jessica and I sat on my couch drinking the rest of the wine and processing the evening. That went well, I said. Better than I expected. He seems happy. Healthy. Lo, what about you? Are you okay with him moving? Jessica was quiet for a moment. Yeah, I think I am. We needed closure and tonight felt like we got it. He's going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. She curled up in the corner of the couch, wine making her philosophical. You know what's funny? I spent so many years thinking I had to be perfect to be loved. Turns out, all I had to do was be honest. Honesty's overrated, I joked. Look where it got us. And where did it get us? I looked around my apartment, thought about my promotion, about the family dinners we'd started having again, where nobody called anyone names or threw public tantrums. Here, I said. It got us here. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Don't forget Sunday dinner tomorrow, 6 p.m., and bring Jessica. Your father's making his famous enchiladas. I showed Jessica the text, and she smiled. Sunday dinner, she mused. Remember when we used to fight over who got to sit next to Dad? I remember you always winning. I remember you not even trying after a while. We sat with that for a moment, thinking about all the years we'd wasted competing instead of connecting. Different question, Jessica said. If you could go back and change what happened at my birthday party, would you? I thought about it seriously. The humiliation, the viral video, the family chaos, Jessica losing her job. All of it could have been avoided if I'd just walked away that night at Mom's party. If I'd been the bigger person. But then I thought about where we were now. Jessica in therapy, finally dealing with her anxiety and perfectionism. Me standing up for myself for the first time in my life. Our family actually talking about our problems instead of pretending they didn't exist. Marcus free to find someone who actually wanted to be with him. No, I said finally. I wouldn't change it. It was messy and awful, and probably not the way it should have happened, but it needed to happen somehow. Even though I lost my job, even though I was humiliated in front of everyone I knew, because look at you now. You're not pretending to be perfect anymore. You're just being you. And you know what? You're actually likable when you're not trying so hard. Jessica laughed and threw a pillow at me. Gee, thanks. I'm serious. I like this version of you better. The one who wears jeans and admits when she's wrong and doesn't act like she's better than everyone else. I like this version of you too. The one who stands up for herself and doesn't let people walk all over her. We finished our wine and talked until almost midnight about everything and nothing. About our jobs, our dreams, our fears, our plans for the future. Like sisters, like friends. As Jessica was getting ready to leave, she turned to me one more time. For what it's worth, you were never the family mistake. You were just the one who wasn't afraid to be imperfect. I envied that about you. And you were never as perfect as you pretended to be. You were just scared to let anyone see the real you. She hugged me goodbye. A real hug. Not one of those fake air kiss things. And I realized that sometimes the best gifts are the ones that blow up in your face before they show you what you really needed. I'd set out to destroy my sister's perfect life, and in the process, I'd helped both of us find something better. A real relationship built on truth instead of competition. Not bad for the family mistake. And that's the end of my story, everyone. Thank you so much for following along on this wild ride. If you enjoyed seeing how revenge sometimes leads to reconciliation, make sure to hit that like button, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love hearing from all of you. Don't forget to follow the channel for more dramatic family stories because trust me, we all have them. Sometimes the most broken relationships can be rebuilt stronger than before, but it takes courage to be honest about who we really are underneath all our masks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.